Sure.
All right, we are live. Little bit early. Surprise! How's everybody doing? I'm really honored to have with me the legendary, the OG YouTuber, Jeremy Hambly of TheQuartering. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you moving around my schedule. So my bad.
Hey, no, no worries whatsoever. I'm really stoked to have you on and hopefully learn. Sorry, I get do not disturb on here. Um, a little bit about YouTube, everything going on. I did not I knew you had been around for a while, but you have literally decades on YouTube, right?
I do. Yeah. I've been on YouTube for maybe 20 years. Honestly, like it's probably pretty close. Yeah, ever since really the kind of the very beginning, I've created content on this platform.
That's cool. Now, and you started out okay. You were doing like were claw machines your first thing, or was it just
Computer
open?
repair was.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so I had a computer repair channel, and then um, Magic the Gathering trading cards, and then claw machines, and then social commentary.
Okay, now okay, computer repair. I'm actually of an IT background
Mhm.
too. So, were you into the hardware, networking?
I did all of it.
No.
So I did tutorial videos. So I when I was young, when I was like 17 until I was like 20, I worked at a computer repair shop
Mhm.
back when people still fixed their computers. And still bought computers from small town companies. And so I would do these like how-to videos, like simple stuff like how to pull up MS config and like how to remove spyware and how to install a CD-ROM, all this
Sure.
when people used to do stuff like that. Then I built a little business out of it. I sold home repair kits, like little tool. I would go to these, I forget what the website was, but I would like buy all the tools that people needed to fix computers, the
Mhm.
hex screws, the stat, a screwdriver, all this stuff. And I would tell people how to either fix their own computers or to like start little businesses fixing people's computers, because that's what I did. And I sold that to a uh internet holding company. And then I started a different YouTube channel. And so I've just kind of always
That's
been on
crazy.
YouTube.
I'm aging myself a little bit, but this is one of the books I wrote in 2003 and four.
Oh, macro media. Yeah, that is
I
yeah, that
literally
is
wrote it the year before they were taken over by Adobe.
yeah, that macro media is yeah, I didn't do any I did front end stuff when I graduated college
Mhm.
because it was so easy if you just knew how to build a website to make money. I mean, like this is even like pre WordPress. Like you'd have
Mm.
like local businesses like, oh, I want a website. And I'm like, okay, $3,000. And they'd say, okay. And you build it in a weekend or 2 weeks and then you get it done. And so yeah, I did some front end stuff, and then I really what my actual skill set is in conversion rate optimization, CRO, for front facing websites. So maximizing click-through rates and conversions for web companies, e-commerce companies is what I do like for a living. And YouTube is just kind of always this thing that I did on the
So
side.
how's that different from SEO?
SEO is what helps your website get found. What
Mhm.
I'm doing is running A/B testing or multivariate testing to find out what arrangement, what fonts, what colors cause
Okay,
people to purchase at a higher rate. Um, yeah.
interesting.
So, you move, I've had tests where, you move a banner image, you change a banner image a little bit and you increase conversion rate by 0.5%. Well, when you're talking about a company that does 100,000 transactions in a month, you're talking millions of dollars you just
Oh
made
yeah.
them. So, yeah, it's a good skill to have. And, yeah, so that's what I do for a day job. Not that you asked, but other than YouTube, that's really what I do.
Well, I actually was going to ask that, and that's
Okay.
interesting though what you're doing there because I study a lot. Well, look on the shelf
Yeah.
there: body
Hmm.
language, behavioral analysis. Um, what you're doing is in effect persuasion via markup. And I'm wondering, have you studied the psychology and what makes people click where, or how eyes are traveling, or I know there's different studies
Yeah.
on which way people read. I'm curious, do you have any theories on that? Because this is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I create the data that people like you that's study. quite frankly. Like we do eye tracking tests for people. We bring people in and do eye tracking tests for new web layouts. The language. One of the first books I ever bought was a book called Words That Sell. And it's, the difference between, and there's a case study that I read early on about why Amazon's buy button is orange and not green. These are big tests that get parsed out over huge data sets to figure out which type of font is better, which size font is better. I do have some kind of hard and fast simple rules that I've learned about people. Like, people ask in my tweets, here's some insider information, why I always capitalize the first letter. And the fact that they're asking proves I'm right.
When you say capitalize the first letter, you mean of a sentence?
Every word.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I use a title or title font or whatever it's called. But like when I write ad copy for paid search ads, on the side in Google, you see those ads, it always converts better. It's like a known thing. Words like deals are better than words like promotion. Buy is or buy and save is better than purchase, or there's all sorts of things you learn over the years, that the language that you use. Now, I don't use this on my viewers, but I do use it in my day job.
No, how can you not? I mean, and I'm not criticizing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you become convergent in a language, you would naturally start speaking that way. I just had Brian Ahern on, who is taught by, he's one of Cialdini's top people, and everything he says, everything that comes out of his mouth is naturally shaped. It's sort of like if you get a guitar virtuoso, they're not going to play sloppy when they go to another place.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is ingrained a little bit. But so I don't have any kind of UI skill. So I can't do graphic design. I can't do what I do is I react to the data, and I know the type of things to test. So like, I have graphic designers, web designers on my team that implement the tests. And I'm more of like most of the CRO that I do, conversion rate optimization that I do, happens in Microsoft Excel. And they're really the ones that, it's simple stuff. In a banner image, let's say you have a buy now button, right? And you have people on the right side, okay? And then on the left side, there's a buy it now button. The first thing I would do, well, probably not the first thing I would do, but one of the tests I would do that I would guaranteed would make you more money is have one of those people point in that direction. Okay. Like little stuff like that. And that like always improves conversion rate, so there's all sorts of little stuff like that isn't applicable to me making YouTube videos, but there are things that, how I write my tweets, or how I,
your titles, things. YouTube titles, your descriptions.
Titles,
I would think everybody's trying to do some variant of clickbait. I mean, clickbait is a bad word, but I think that
it's used incorrectly so much that like people think sensational titles are clickbait. It's not, just a headline. Right. Clickbait is when the content you're offering is different than what the title suggests it is. And so like, I get accused of that all the time because my titles are sensational, but I don't care one bit. You clicked it. Like I'm battling against 100,000 other people who are covering the exact same thing. I'm going to have sensational titles and not be apologetic about it. So I suppose my marketing background does help me. Like, I know for like instant regret and epic fail and instant karma, they just increase click-through rate. They just always do. It's not like I'm lazy. I just know they work.
Secrets of
secrets of, or revealed. So-and-so revealed. That kind of stuff is all conversion rate stuff.
Yeah, and I definitely need to work. And I clickbait is coming out of bait and switch in terms of it. So it makes perfect sense. Viva Fry just sent me something. What is up with Rumble and Odyssey? He's asking about your tweet.
My tweet was simply saying, I said, really? And then I added Chris, who's the CEO of Rumble. I happen to know him. So the, no big deal. But the, I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong. I'm just saying it's a tweet and that it's not really that big a deal. But what the tweet they're mad about was implying that Rumble inflates their numbers, which is, a damaging thing to accuse somebody of.
Mhm.
So I get why but I mean, just like let it ride. My point is this is not worth it. Nobody's not using Rumble because they think that your numbers are artificially inflated.
Okay. Well, what are your thoughts? And actually, I'd love to go into, because you've been around a long time and you've seen the platforms shift, change, whatever. He is trying to go public right now with Rumble,
Right.
and apparently the deal is not completely done. Could this be an early reflection of the corporate partners saying, "Hey, can't be having things like that out there. That's a little bit defamatory. We're trying to sell to these investors and get you locked in."
Well, I think the people behind Rumble were already kind of corporate muckety mucks. These guys had plenty of money in the first place. There's not like two kids in the basement starting a website. I always, kind of felt the corporate nature of Rumble anyway. There are things that Rumble does that I don't like.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I mean, I think that the tweet was potentially damaging enough that, you know, I would have respected Rumble more if they responded with data that debunked it. Um, I understand why they're trying to do a C&D. It's just not a good look from a marketing perspective. It's a
Mhm.
cringe look.
And that makes sense. And I guess another reply would just be in a tweet saying, "That's wrong. Here's the numbers, and you should
Right. It
protect
would have
that
been
now."
it would have been a way better own. When you put the lawsuit out there, it's like, was there some truth to it? Or, like I get that you don't have to respond to every barking dog, but at the same time, like I don't see Rumble and Odyssey as competing for the same user. I think the same user uses both. And so it's dumb that they fight. It really is. Because ultimately what they're all gonna end up having to do is merge anyway. But, yeah.
Well, okay, and that is my question too. Where do you see this going? Like I was talking to you before we got on, another really really small platform called Utreon. They're doing innovative stuff though. It's very interesting,
Yeah.
and I hear all the time, "Be on Rumble, be here, be there," and it's like, well, yeah, sure, I'm there, but we're not even talking a rounding error of traffic in comparison
Yeah.
to YouTube.
Yeah. I think that it's important for large creators to take it upon themselves to mirror their content. I also think that um it's it's uh it's unrealistic to expect people to make zero money and just support the cause. There are guys like me and Six Hexenhammer who will like mirror our images, mirror our videos on any alt tech platform, but we both make enough money off YouTube that it doesn't matter. The idea that you could expect anyone to be committed to it over YouTube is ludicrous. You have to be on YouTube. Um, but I do think as small creators, a small creator has a way better chance of obtaining moderate success on BitChute or Odyssey than they do on YouTube.
Hmm.
The definition is that the issue is how do you define moderate success? I mean, I think you have a way easier chance of getting to like, if you're a political content creator, getting to 5,000, 10,000 subs on BitChute or Odyssey or Rumble than you do on YouTube. Just because the way, if you're covering breaking news, you know, ahead of you, even if you're a better source for information, is going to be Fox News, MSNBC, NBC, local affiliates, and then you'll see individual creators. It's not
Mhm.
that way on these other sites. Now, if you make mukbang videos or you make, advertiser friendly content, it's not as the markets on BitChute and Rumble and Odyssey are much smaller for normie content. If you want to talk about cryptocurrencies and things like that, Odyssey is great for you. If you want to talk about hard Republican politics, Rumble's good for you. BitChute's kind of a little of both, but still right leaning. But these platforms aren't really thriving in normie content, which is the number one thing holding them back.
Yeah. So okay, so they're all edge based essentially.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, the problem is for any new platform is simple. They, the reason they have this, I'm sorry, is easy to explain because every time there's a new platform, the very first people to populate it are the people that have been banned everywhere else. So the media
Sure.
then uses that and says, "Oh, it's a far right echo chamber." It's like, well, where do you want Alex Jones to post his videos? So when BitChute's there and Rumble's there, he's going to be there. And they represent a disproportionate percentage of the videos early on. But the media uses this to smear, alt tech platforms
Yeah, like
that
Gab.
actors use. Right. Gab, exactly. Same with Gab, right? Yeah. Are there some legitimate Nazis on Gab? Sure. But are there some legitimate like left-wing Nazis on Twitter? Yeah. But the percentages are so, heavy early on that it makes it easy to, as a percentage to disparage the user group.
What do you think of let's take an alternative like Substack, which seems to be, and Rockfin actually a little bit that way too, even though Rumble started to get a bunch from Substack. Substack felt different because it was a lot of journalists who quit and kind of said, hey, we're staking our own claim. Do you think that was a good formula in the sense that it was very niched down, but yet, I mean, Glenn Greenwald, obviously Pulitzer Prize winner, blah blah blah. I mean, he's
There's
bringing
like two or three
credibility.
there's like two or three big Substackers. It's just a newsletter, right? I mean,
Yeah,
essentially,
yeah,
this is a technology that's existed, for 30 years. Newsletters
true.
were some of the earliest, online content. You would be subscribed to news groups and newsletters, um, and it was free back then. So, Glenn Greenwald didn't need Substack. He didn't get discovered on Substack. It's just a service somebody who's already popular uses to
Mhm.
make money. So it's just a different type. Like, you're not going to get Substack fame because you have to pay for it. People have to pay for content. Um, I think it's smart. I think it's obviously they have some serious money coming into that platform.
Mhm.
But I think it's super niche. But that niche is still got to be several million users.
Right. Well, and everything I found, I mean, like even on YouTube, it's isn't that the big advice is to find your niche, lock that down, and then expand from there. I don't know. I mean, you have the experience to
No, that
say
is,
more.
yeah. I mean, I think if you're starting out saying I want to make cat videos, you're gonna fail. Um, the fact that the ocean is so gigantic, I use this with a lot of my e-commerce people too. When I tell them about selling their products on Amazon, everyone's like, "Why? I have a website." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." But the ocean that is Amazon is so gigantic that you need to be there. And even a tiny amount of sales from a platform that huge is like potentially millions. Thank you. Potentially millions for small businesses. And it's the same with content creators. You must be super niche, um, especially now.
Mhm.
You have to be, and you got to be the best at it. I always talk about this one content creator. I forget what his name is. Maybe chat will know, but he created like an underwater city for hamsters, and like he created content around the tubing and all this, but like it doesn't get more niche than that. But the guy had like several 100,000 subscribers, and he just kind of owned that weird hamster space. And so yeah, being niche I think is well, it's the only way to succeed.
Weird. So, on that note, what drove you to go into the commentary aspect? And I notice you don't talk about MidWestly as much.
Yeah, well, the the commentary kind of was like an involuntary move for me, because I no longer wanted to only talk about Magic the Gathering cards or something like, or RC cards. I wanted to talk about a lot of other things, and so the move to commentary made sense at the time. MidWestly, I don't overly promote on my main channel because, political videos are not a passion of mine, but it's a section of content that is often requested from my existing viewers. And so I try to be welcoming to everybody on my main channel. Um, Even though a lot of people will classify my channel as like right leaning, I don't view it that way. I know there are many people who are, Democrats who watch my content, and I want them there, and I appreciate them. So when I make hard politics videos, I know it can be polarizing. And so I try to just keep that like a little in my back pocket kind of thing. It'll ramp up more in the 2024 election, I assure you.
Okay, interesting.
Mm.
And I noticed that you said that your live streams are there too. So because that seems to be something that's debated out there, and I guess I'm asking for all of my YouTuber
Mhm.
friends and things like that. Um, what is the deal on the live streams? Do you leave them on your channel? Do you push them off the channel? I know Nick Rekieta has gone both ways on that, where
Mhm.
he started doing live streams. He built his channel on it. Then, like around the turn of this year,
Mhm.
early, he was doing short videos and starting to shove his live streams off to another channel. And now I think he's back with live streams on the main.
Yeah, I don't know, what the exact rule of thumb is. What I know is watch time is still important, and live streams naturally lend themselves to significantly longer watch time.
Mhm.
And that in terms of getting your content seen by your existing viewers, for whatever reason, like while you're live streaming, your video will often show um, on the sidebar versus like them having to go like to their homepage and
Mm.
find it and stuff like that. So you can often get really good engagement if you're live streaming about the right thing at the right time, um, and grow your channel that way. So I used to like offload them. I now I make mine members only for review because that's like I don't know. I have to offer it because I have members and I don't like gating content. So
Mm.
I just let, and then I also, by the way, it's free to watch on like, I use Restream. So when I stream, it goes to Twitch, it goes to Facebook, it goes to Rumble, it goes to Odyssey, and I leave it up on all those places. So I don't have a hard and fast rule about it. I used to think it was bad because
Mhm.
engagement was bad, but discoverability is better on, it seems like, on live streams.
Interesting. So you're using Restream. I bought a Restream subscription. I've had that, but I find that StreamYard is better with super chats and pulling chat comments. Has
Yeah.
Restream improved on that a bit? Because I just had problems surfacing them. They weren't really delineated well like they are in StreamYard.
Well, you can use StreamYard and Restream if you want. So Restream is just a redistributing. They may have a
Oh, okay.
platform.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I was talking about
You were
the
thinking of like XSplit or OBS or something.
okay,
Yeah, Restream is just allows me to stream to like 5 different places at once
gotcha.
without having like gigabit internet up. So yeah.
Okay, I forgot that that was the original product because they built a StreamYard clone
Oh, okay. Yeah.
themselves. So I was like, eh. Okay, you sort of answered this earlier, but it is from the chat, and Gavin is a longtime member.
Okay.
What advice do you give a content creator starting from scratch, and which platforms would you advise throwing against? Earlier, you kind of were
Or I
implying
guess I mean,
Odyssey.
yeah. No, you be on every platform. The thing is, now Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute all pull from YouTube.
Mhm.
So you take the time to create the channel, you turn on the pull, and then you only have to upload once. Early on, like Rumble didn't have this feature, and I remember talking to their CEO about it. I'm like, this is stupid. You need to figure this out because it's already hard enough to get people to like support your platform who are on YouTube already. If you make
Mhm.
me upload it twice, not doing it. So yeah, I would say, create a YouTube channel, but be cognizant of your other platforms and get involved in them. You know, for example, I oftentimes get better engagement on Gab than I do on Twitter. And I have like 150,000 followers on Twitter and like 1,500 on Gab.
Mm.
Um, so, don't ignore existing tech. Like I still use my Facebook page. But Minds has a feature now to port over your tweets. So if you tweet out a new video, Minds will make that as a post, and so people see your
Really?
video there. Yeah, so like I would get, in terms of places where traffic exists, I think BitChute is still probably the best, but it costs you nothing to just upload it to YouTube and import it over to the other two places too. And be involved on those platforms. Make time to like respond to comments on them so people think that you're actually there and not just dumping your content.
How do you monetize on BitChute though? I didn't think they had any kind of monetization there available.
They allow you to monetize via your own affiliate links. So
Okay.
like I have, I've never set it up because I don't really care. But like I know that's like I mean I make so much money on YouTube, I don't care. But um you can put like your own like, VP, you can go on Commission Junction or something like that and put some, it's not much. You'll be better off from a monetization standpoint offering uh exclusive content to backers and things like that. Plus people can tip you on those platforms and stuff like that. But yeah, Rumble has AdSense too. Rumble has ad revenue. It's
Mhm.
very small,
I
but
know.
they do have it. Yeah, yeah,
I know. Was up to like 4,000 subs on it, and months later, I think I'm at $28
yeah. Right,
accumulated.
right. And I have a lot there too, and I don't make any money. I don't think I've made $50. So, uh, but it's important for growing your brand. And so, not that you said this, but the money thing should be secondary to building a platform
Mhm,
because you're going to find thousands of people on Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute that would never find you on YouTube. And these are people that will consider backing you on Patreon or
mhm.
Subscribestar, that might buy your merch, that might back an Indiegogo for a product you want to sell. There's a lot of ways to monetize your community to earn a living that don't involve AdSense or direct ad revenue.
Speaking of which, and you were talking about, keeping up with all the different people and doing different things. How do you do this? Do you have a full-blown team? Are you on your own, or do you just have, one editor? What is your
I
operation
have a
like?
guy that does my thumbnails and a guy that does my intros. I don't do intros on every video, but one or two a day he does. And then I have a wonderful assistant who just brought me some coffee. But she also handles all my marketing stuff. So there's a huge calendar off camera with all my ad reads and all that kind of stuff. So she's kind of like my marketing manager who handles all that stuff too. So, I mean, I produce all the content, but the machine behind it is just as important. And then I have somebody that posts my videos. I forgot about Shammy, my editor. She handles posting videos to Facebook or articles to Facebook and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's a team of about 5 people.
Okay, and at what point, and this is, always one of those questions. What point do you have to say, okay, I need to get somebody else? Where were you, and what made you say, okay, I need somebody, and who was the first?
The editor was the first, I think. Yes. Just because I wanted to work on retention and have more view time. So, like, what good is a 10-minute video if everyone's only watching 4 minutes of it?
Mhm.
Um, so, maybe that video should have only been 4 minutes, or maybe you weren't engaging enough, or maybe you weren't, there's a lot of that stuff. So I used to do like more polished videos, but then I realized that what my viewers really wanted was me to be more of like a distillery of the news for the day. The 20 or 30 or 40 topics that are out there, which 5 or 6 are the ones that are most important to them. And so it became about output for me. I could do 5 videos a day by myself, but I was leaving an enormous amount of opportunity on the table to grow my channel, to get brand partners. Like Maggie's job is extremely important, keeping advertisers happy. And I just couldn't do that. Just couldn't do the videos I do, plus deal with sponsors, plus do ad shoots, plus do. So I think it became a point where like I was making enough money that that was not an issue. And then it became about like, well, like any greedy capitalist, it was like, I want to make all of the money. I'm leaving a lot on the table by not being able to, you know, I'm reaching my own limits every day. So, you know, yeah. So the idiot, the editor became about providing a better product. All of this is about providing a better product.
Sure.
And my thumbnails became about providing a better product. More interesting thumbnails, more boobs. Everyone likes that. And then like Shammy, more for people who want to read traditional. She like will transcribe my videos or summarize them and put them up on like thequartering.com.
Oh,
That's
nice.
not a huge website, but there's about a couple thousand people a day that go there. And I don't monetize it, and it's just trying to add value, always trying to add value for my viewers. And so every hire became about adding more value.
Okay, speaking of that, that leads into another great question. You're putting out, God, what, 10 videos a day between the two channels?
Sometimes, yeah.
Who's doing editorial, and how do you determine? Okay, no, this has to be a video. This isn't
Me.
And
Yep.
what will make the grade, if you will, that you'll say, okay, I have to do it, or is it a matter of a little bit of a buckshot type thing, where you just say, okay, well, yeah, it's good enough, and it may do well, may not, and you kind of gauge it?
No, I definitely know how videos will do when I upload them. I'm almost never surprised, but I've also been doing this for a billion years. So like, I know if like, I scrub every article, every topic myself. That's 100% me. So I ask myself, is this newsworthy? Will it be entertaining for my viewers? There's a reason okay, the Maxwell trial right now is going on. Are my viewers extremely interested in it or not? It's just because it's newsworthy doesn't mean my particular viewers care about it. If there's something big that happened in the sports world, and lets us dunking on LeBron, like nobody cares. Right. So it's about knowing my audience and what they want to see, and then also knowing them and knowing what I think might be interesting to them. So it's not always about, there's a certain aspect where I'm just like, oh, this is a home run. It's some blue-haired person getting their comeuppance. That's always going to do well. But then there's times where I cover like the Uyghur Muslim concentration camps, or I'll cover Section 230, or I covered, what was it in Canada, Article C16. Yeah. So like if it's like, oh, censorship topic, I know my people will be interested. Is it hypocrisy? I know my people will be interested.
Like Baldwin.
Right. Is it some so like it's a lot more than just dunking on the libs. And so that's the most important. It's the most important job, and I handle it exclusively because, there's a lot of output I could cover. I could make videos all day, but I try to focus on the most entertaining stuff. The most interesting stuff.
Okay, a couple things from the chat. Scott Fretwell, where did your intro music come from? Asking for a friend. Seriously?
I don't have intro music.
Oh, okay. I'm wondering if you have Indian music, an outro theme. I know that.
Yeah, I have an outro music. They're both songs that I found on Free Music Archive, which is a great tool for people who want to add music to their videos. All the music on there is Creative Commons license. I also pay for a service that's like $5 a month. That has even more professional Creative Commons music too, thousands more songs. So, yeah, I don't know the name. I've been using it for 10 years. I'm sorry.
Okay. And I want to reach back because you were talking about knowing your audience. And I think that's one of the most difficult things for any creator. It's something that I don't know. How did you go about determining who your audience is? Have you met them? How do you?
Yeah, I've met a lot of them in real life. I read the comments. I've always read the comments from day one. I interact with people on Twitter. I'm very interactive, and I listen, which is the most important part. So, and also, analytics tells us a lot. I did this video and it bombed. Okay. Like I used to cover a lot of video game news, a lot. Now, when I cover video game news, it tanks. So it's like, okay, and so like, you got to be smart enough to know that, occasionally I'll get somebody whining on Twitter about like, you used to do video game news. What is all this? Well, you told me by not watching it that you didn't want this content anymore. So I'm very like interactive. I read everything. I read everything people say on the comments. I read all the responses to my tweets. So I know it's really easy to know somebody if you just listen.
Interesting. There's something that you do when you were talking about watch time. obviously being important, how to hold it and everything. You have the most abrupt cutoff of any YouTuber I know, in the sense where I'm almost startled. Like, oh, you're out of time. Like you're watching the clock and then boom.
Oh, at the
Well,
end
I
of the
hope you
videos?
enjoyed the video.
Yeah, yeah.
And hope to see you next time. Was that deliberate that you kept a certain tone to where people who are watching don't feel the time going by, and so then you cut it off to try to get them to the end, or is
Well,
it not?
it's more of it's I am watching the clock every time when I'm recording, and there's a lot going into that. Sometimes everything I do is one take. I've never done like
Okay.
unless like there's a my dogs break down here and start barking or something. But like everything's one take, and I never read the articles beforehand because I want my
Hmm.
reactions to be real. And so there are good and bad things with that. The rep cutoffs could be a variety of things. Sometimes I realize that I'm rambling too much and I'm like, wrap it up. Sometimes I realize that a video is getting, like I don't want to upload videos that are longer than 12 minutes because I know when I do, people don't watch it. Um, there's also, am I keeping things interesting enough um, along the way? And so I'm calculating these things as long as I'm recording it. So I think the cutoff is probably not as strategically genius as I'd hoped, as I would like people to think. It's more like I'm really trying to, as I'm recording in real time, monitor like, okay, are people tuning out? Am I repeating myself and whatever? And then usually I reach a point where I'm like, all right, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice, great, have a day, whatever. And then just that's it.
Okay, it's just something really interesting that, and how you do that. Everybody has their signatures. Like you're being credited with being the primary anti SJW. I guess Sargon has handed the mantle to you. I'm not
Oh,
sure
yeah.
what
I
what
don't want
happened.
it. Yeah, I don't want it. Yeah, I think, you know, I, I, I think that ultimately, I don't want that title. I want to be more, I want to be like a commentator, but someone who also has a take. There's
Mhm.
so many like wishy-washy commentators out there, people who are afraid to ruffle feathers or have a take. I grew up listening to Jim Rome, and every time Jim Rome used to take phone calls, he would say, "Have a take, don't suck," and that's that's kind of always rung true with me. Like I don't want to just be like, oh well, some people think it could be this way, some people could. I mean, there are times where I'm on the fence, maybe because I legitimately understand both sides, but I also want to make sure that my viewers know that I have a position, which I think has helped with the longevity because I think my channel is probably like it's outlived its most channels that like mine or like Tim's, they don't last as long as we do. And I think that for me, having a take is important to keeping people coming back.
That's interesting. I don't know if you study CEOs or leadership things or stuff like that, but they have determined that the most successful CEOs are those who are decisive
Mhm.
and not necessarily correct. And because they're decisive, the employees always feel like they know where they're going, so they don't feel uncertainty, and
Mhm.
that builds confidence in the company. And then the CEOs will just change directions. Like Steve Jobs is super famous for that, where he put out a product, it's the best thing in the world, like the iPod that had no buttons in it, no
Mhm.
interaction. The next year, he just releases the old style back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that didn't work, dump, move on. And do
Failing
you do that
fast. That's what,
in? Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
I do study CEOs. Sorry to cut you off. Um, in my last corporate job I worked for an internet marketing incubator, which is a company that we had one primary business. We made about $50 million a year doing it. And then the incubator part. So I worked for that company. Then I moved over to the incubator company, which was, I did all the online marketing for that company. And then we started acquiring other companies. And then, because we had built teams like we had an SEO team, we had a PPC team, we had a web design team. And it was like we were working on this one client, which was us. So then we decided, like, well, let's just buy a bunch of other companies and do what we already know how to do. and make a bunch more money. And so when I moved over to that company, I reported directly to the CEO, and he sent us on a lot of cringe leadership training with guys like John Maxwell and Tony Robbins and things like that. But one of the things that I did well as a leader, and what I learned from him too, is to fail fast, because for that exact same reason, like, your team will follow you, will accept your failures. They always will, as long as they believe you're being honest and that you try to do the best that you could. And if you are wishy-washy and you appear indecisive, you appear weak, and then weakness cultivates a mistrust and concern among your employees. So yeah, I try to have a take and, fail as fast as I can, so that, it's like when you lay people off, you cut once, you cut deep. You don't say, we need to cut 100 employees. When I was 23 years old, the most traumatic experience I'd ever gone through, I had to lay off like 60% of our staff. And, I had grown men and women just bawling. And, but I learned, from our CEO at that time too, like, and I used it in future layoffs, like, cut once, cut deep. Don't lay off, if you need to lay off 100 people, lay off 130 people, because if you tell them you're safe after you laid them off, and then 2 weeks later you got to lay more people off, the whole office is going to be poisoned. Like, they're never going to trust you. So there's a lot of leadership training that I took and that I gleaned that I think I'm thankful for.
Okay, and are you where I was going? Are you doing that with videos too? Like, you have your take, you have your opinion of that moment, and then as news comes in, you may or may not shift.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's been several times where I was just wrong about stuff, and I have no problem admitting it, apologizing for it, and I get right back to work. And like, there are people out there that, think you owe them more than, hey, I fricked up and I moved on. There are people out there that think you owe them more than that, but okay, I don't owe you more than that. I think that's a big problem with the distrust in the media now, right? They run the front page story, they get it wrong. Where do they print the retraction? The last
page 19.
Yeah, right.
Or they change the headline online.
Yeah, right. Updated to reflect new information. So I'll put out a whole nother video, or I'll address it, because most of my viewers just kind of like watch all my videos, and I'll just address it like, hey, yesterday I said this, I was wrong, I messed up. One of the earliest ones, I think I supported like the cancel culture around James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, because at the time ABC had fired Roseanne for the Donna Brazil comments, and then the right went after James Gunn and got him fired. And I think the next day I uploaded a video. I was like, I got sucked in. No, I don't think that James Gunn should be fired, and I don't think Roseanne should have been fired either, kind of thing. So, it's you just got to be honest, and I think people will react to that much better than trying to pretend like you're never wrong.
Well, and as you've crossed over to 1 million, do you ever just pause, because obviously your weight is much greater than, well, obviously mine. I could say a lot of things would be pretty irresponsible and not wreak as much havoc.
No, I haven't changed I haven't changed my, well, I have softened up a little bit now that I'm bigger, physically and on the channel. But there are particular issues now that I try to take a little lighter, because I know that no matter like how many times I say, please don't like go and harass this person, there's going to be some group of people that watches me that goes and they cross the line in my name, which I don't want. I've never been unclear about not wanting people to do that. But I know that people will still do it. So, as my channel's gotten bigger, I mean, YouTube told me directly, like to my face, that I couldn't dunk on smaller channels anymore. And which is garbage, because like a lot of channels are smaller than my channel, and they'll say like heinous things about me, do videos. I can't even do video responses. So, there's been that kind of stuff. But in terms of like me looking at like, oh man, maybe I need to weather this take because it's almost never the case because I don't plan or prepare. So what you're getting from me is the honest belief that I have at that moment. That may change, but I try not to sugarcoat it if unless it's some weird, I don't know, trans issues or something that I've softened on over the years, for example. But no, I don't care if I have 10 million subs, I'm going to be the same guy. And I think that's the only key. It'll be a key to my downfall, but it'll also be the reason if I ever get that big.
Well, and okay, to speak with who I consider to maybe be the biggest creator of all individually, is that the reason that PewDiePie has weathered so much? He doesn't seem to be all that different than 10 years ago.
No, he really hasn't. He hasn't changed. I think ultimately he has avoided drama. Like there is some time, he's kind of avoided, trading barbs with other creators and stuff like that. So he's changed in that manner, but he's basically kept it real. And that's why I think his viewers have grown with him, because he's remained pretty consistent. Like I don't really watch him much anymore because I don't care about Minecraft or Digimon cards. But like if he's talking about something important, censorship or YouTube, I definitely respect his opinion on it. So I think his authenticity, the fact that the guy's worth $50 million and basically is the same dude he was, in his apartment, that says a lot, staying humble. And I think that's really important. And it's a key to his success too.
Well, on that note, who do you watch?
Well, I watch a lot of smaller creators, to be honest. Trillium, of course, is my daughter, surrogate daughter, not really my daughter.
I was going to bring her up actually because
she just does gardening videos or whatever. But like when you stare at garbage all day, it's nice to just like, I don't watch Tim Pool or anybody else that covers the same topics I do, because it's like I'm in it all day. Like I don't want, I'm watching like angry video game nerd reruns or maybe live streams here and there. But when you put out 10 videos a day, you don't have a hell of a lot of time to watch. I watch Meat Eater, which is a Steve Rinell's hunting show on YouTube. I like that. But I generally don't watch anybody who covers similar things as me, because I'm just like, burnt out on it.
Well, that makes sense. And I mean, are you doing 7 days a week? I never really tracked it.
It's usually 6. It's usually 6.
Wow.
Yeah. When things were like really crushing it, I would do 5. But I've got some, I'm building a house right now, and YouTube's been, I would consider my channel like in the business life cycle. It's certainly mature now, and the cash cow phase, the growth phase is pretty much gone. So like I'm trying to extract as much value as I can over the next year, maybe, before my channel becomes irrelevant. And I've made my peace with that. So right now I'm working extra hard to just kind of set myself up for the next thing, whatever that may be.
That's interesting. And you've said that a lot. Yeah, you kind of offhandedly say, yeah, whenever this is not going to happen, or whenever this goes away, or whatever. Do you think that most channels have an expiration date?
All of them do. Yes, certainly. And it's for a variety of reasons. It's not just people get sick of you, which is the most common, but then you have controversies, which I'll generally, I don't think I'm an old fart. I'm not like talking with people on Discord and getting in it. Like that's not going to get me. But you have, people get, the style of content that you make changes or, outgrows it. You're not keeping up with what people want. Look at a lot of the people that have been around for a long time. Crowder hasn't changed his format in forever. He really should be thinking about it. There's that kind of stuff that the more you work to stay ahead of the game, the longer you can remain relevant. but just like with human, just with like a life cycle, time is undefeated. And YouTube, your time might be a week. I mean, there are channels that get massive millions of subscribers and then are dead, and so I feel pretty fortunate to what I have for what I have, and and I'm very humble. And I probably would guess that my channel's probably outlasted like your typical expiration date. I'm like the ranch dressing that you forgot in the fridge. I'm still chilling,
There's the slug line for the show.
Yeah. So, there's I think I've been at this channel for 2-3 years now. I've been very fortunate, but I'm also very keenly aware that the days of me getting 10,000 subs a day, those are long gone. So now
Mhm.
it's about treating the viewers that I have with the utmost respect and care, to hopefully they'll stay around longer.
You brought that up, and I'm curious. Is it really a trap that essentially you have your content in your show and people fall in love with it? And you grow because you're doing the style and content that people like. But if you change, then you get people angry because you changed. But then if you don't change, people actually get tired of the same content that they fell in love with to begin with. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's a classic, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't thing. But I think you can make subtle changes over time,
Mhm.
without making like a, whoa, this is my whole new format. And we're going to have a stand-up comedian occasionally. And we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Like, it's about slowly evolving. It's about boiling, you boil the pot slow.
Mhm.
You add some interlays, some overlays, you change the set in the back, you do little things like this. You get a better mic, you get a better camera, you start bringing on guests occasionally. If you make the changes less jarring, then you can evolve without offending people.
Okay, and is another pattern to be like you have the Midwestly channel. Like, could
Mhm.
the quartering eventually slow down and dry up, and then all of a sudden Midwestly ramp up and become your main concern?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. MidWestly, I think, by the time I'm in my 40s, I'll probably be a lot more politically motivated in the things that I talk about.
Mm.
So 2 years ago, I put into motion this plan to transition to MidWestly from the quartering. But the damn quartering just won't die. So,
If
you
we all
know,
had that same problem, what do you do? I mean, geez.
yeah. So, it's about incubating that channel now and growing it so that, when the election cycle kicks up, that I'm ready to rock over there.
Interesting, interesting. So, I know you don't watch a lot of people, in your field or whatever, but who's doing it right?
Um, in like commentary?
Well, in anything, like if you're looking at YouTube, I mean, other than the obvious ones, like
Mhm.
people love Mr. Beast. I actually have problems with the idea of throwing money at everything in order to become big. That just doesn't feel like a necessarily great strategy. It's working, I guess, and he's
Well,
rich, but
I think the kid got rich on crypto. This is like a little known fact about him. He
hmm,
had like FU money on Bitcoin, I think, from what I understand. Um, and so like that's why like YouTube just became this. And I think he does a lot of good. I
hmm,
don't watch mainstream YouTubers. I think the people that are doing it right are the people that are well, I think Meat Eater does it very well. I think that Pat McAfee does it extremely well. He does like a 3-hour live show, and then he's got like a great like group of side characters on his show, and then they generate a bunch of clips. I think that's like the real model that YouTube wants, is the live show and then the clip show. It's the same thing that H3 does, but he's so insufferable that I can't, he's not doing it right. But I think that the people that are, staying ahead of the curve, people that are, you know, I'm struggling to really think of like somebody whose videos that I'm like really excited about when I see, I think, JonTron forever was doing it right. I don't think he's really around. Dr. Disrespect, I think, is doing really good. MXR Plays. There's a lot of channels that grew up with me that are dead now. Young, yeah, him and I grew up like covering the same video game drama. His channel now is lucky to break 100,000 views on a video, and he uploads them like every couple of days, and he's got a million plus subs. Angry Joe, I think, still does, even though him and I don't get along. I think that his high production value skits and his reviews and stuff like that are well done. The Daily Wire does it really good in studio, 10-minute segments. I mean, I don't find Ben Shapiro particularly entertaining, but that dude gets views. It's the format. It's quick. He talks fast. It's bite-sized. Then they upload them in 10-minute clips, and it's just a machine of content. The best one is Coco Melon. If you know who Coco Melon is, if you have kids, you definitely know. It's like this channel that it's just these kids animations. It's singing nursery rhymes. So it's like creative. What's the word for it? Public domain. So like they don't have to pay any royalties on the songs, and it's got like a freaking billion subs. They have their own channel on Netflix, which is the same thing. It just streams. So I mean, there's a lot of people who are doing it right. Sorry for the winding answer, but
no. Somebody's complaining in the chat that I'm ignoring, which I apologize, but
don't listen to chat.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Jury's back.
Oh, really? For Potter? Oh no,
no. That was just, remember the meme? Judge is back.
Oh, that's right.
I'm watching. I thought I saw Jussie was just started trending, but still no verdict.
Did you see the BLM is supporting him?
Yeah, they didn't support him. They said,
they're anti-cop.
Yeah, right, okay. Right. I think that's a distinction.
I guess, but there's a pattern of that. It's like, why do you as an organization support known criminals and stand behind like a cause when there are legitimately harmed people? It's like you should be supporting the harmed people, not people who are.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
This one can't get unplugged. Yeah, those other two are the Christmas lights. Sorry, Maggie's working on the set.
Oh, no worries. This one here, Selling House. I actually was asking Jeremy ahead of time. He's looking around because he has monitors everywhere. Yeah, and he's tracking what's happening in the news and things like that, I believe.
Yeah, people often bring that up. I do that. I have this weird thing in real life. I have a thing about looking people in their eyes. I don't know what it is, but this has been a criticism of me for a while. But what it really is, yes, I'm looking off at my other monitors to see how my videos are performing, to see, like what's going on with the Smollett trial, what's going on. Because, when you cover breaking news, so to speak, I have to be on it. I gotta literally be the first, because that once CNN and everyone else uploads, no one will find my video.
Right now, Rise Above, who's very annoyed with me. If you have a question, Rise Above, ask a question. And actually, on that note, I know that we're tight on time because I think you have another engagement, and that's why we had to go early.
I'm okay for a little while. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I have a personal question, just because it's me. I've noticed that all the help and knowledge in the whole YouTube world on how to grow a channel and everything, it's like how to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
But really, the hard question is, how do you get from, say, 10,000 to 100,000?
Yeah, the first 10,000 is easy. Like you could just have one video pop off. You know what I mean? Like it's the consistent growth. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'll probably never have another million sub channel in my life. I got lucky and I rode several waves. The Last Jedi bonanza of content, the Captain Marvel, the Fallout 76. These are big controversies that I rode for weeks on end. Last of Us 2 picked up probably 75% of my subscribers during these spikes, these controversies. So, if you're creating content that can take advantage of that, then you better put your dick in the dirt and work when that stuff happens. People often complain, like even like I uploaded another video, like this Barstool Sports guy ripped on Kyle Rittenhouse, and like I'll get like a few angry people and they're like, you do so many videos about Kyle. It has 30,000 views in 31 minutes right now. Like, sorry, like that speaks to me louder than the 10 people who think I do too many videos on it. It's like, yeah, yes, it is a lot of videos, but clearly people are interested. They're not watching it against their will. So yeah. Anyway, that's kind of my. Don't worry about the loud ones in chat either. Occasionally. You know?
So then my 7 videos on Alec Baldwin on my second channel and 8 tomorrow make perfect sense.
You got to ride the waves, man. You can't. You can't like say, oh well, I don't want to do another video on this topic that everybody is interested in. You know what I mean?
Okay, now going back to your marketing, isn't that essentially called trend jacking?
Yeah, it's not trend jacking. It's trend jacking means like you're looking at a trend, as far as I understand it, and inserting yourself into it when it's unrelated. I'm talking about riding it. You know what I mean? Like, I would say, and maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm wrong about the definition of it, but you know, to me, like in my world, trend jacking is when, like, you know, a company that sells towels is suddenly doing references to the Tide Pod challenge. You know, that kind of stuff. Versus, you know, me, I literally cover what's trending, so I'm just riding it.
Okay, that makes sense. And by the way, this is a pretty good one. Smollett, it's the only American to scam Nigerians.
First one. Yeah. Yeah, pretty good.
And are you on Locals?
No, I don't use Locals.
Okay. No judgment tone in that sound at all.
I don't no, I mean I Subscribestar has always done me right. And I was approached about Locals early on by Dave, and I would have promoted it, but he basically came to me at a time when Patreon banned me or I was getting demonetized or something. And he's like, hey man, check out Locals. And then like that's the first time I ever heard from him. And then he passed me off to some underling who tried to sell me. I was like, bro, I already have 20,000 backers on Patreon. You want your 3% of that. Like, you're not offering me anything but taking a cut of what I already have. And so that always rubbed me the wrong way. But I hear the service is nice for the people that use it, and I'm happy for them. My issue is more personal than functional, you know?
No, I get it. And I am actually interested in Subscribestar. How does that work? One thing I like about Locals is it's kind of a quasi Facebook.
Yeah.
So I feel like the community has more say and can get more directly involved. Is Subscribestar that way as well?
No.
Oh,
Subscribestar will get you your money every month, and that's all I really cared about. But yeah, Locals has way more features.
Okay. That's good to find out. No. Trend checking. So what?
Frank Barron in chat is mentioning Stoll, by the way. My wife is a pilot, so I knew what you were just talking about. She's done some Stoll competitions. Anyway, go on.
Really?
Sorry.
Your wife's a pilot?
Mm-hmm.
Professionally, or just has a license?
Just private pilot. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. Well, that's got to help you with conventions.
No, her plane only goes about, well, she's got a new plane now that goes much faster, but her Stoll plane only went about 50 knots. So, I mean, it's a bush plane for landing like in the middle of a field, big tires and stuff like that. But I fly commercial. I'm kind of big for those little planes. I'm like 6'5", 6'6", so I don't fit in those little planes.
Oh, fair enough. I was in a Cessna and was taken up, and honestly, I got horrible nausea. I never realized I'd get airsick, but I did. I was sitting in the front, and it just felt like you get those drops.
Yeah,
it's just like
usually the people that don't think they're gonna have it.
Wow, crazy. All right. Well, sir, what are you covering at the moment, or what is the hot topic?
Well, I think we're all waiting on the we're all waiting on the juicy sommelier verdict. I'm very concerned that it is now nearing the end of day 2 in what is, and if like Webster's dictionary defines slam dunk as the Jussie Smollett case, and we are now in day 2, it's very, very concerning to me. And if it enters day 3,
Well, Rittenhouse did,
but it was way more complicated.
Sure.
I mean, this dude he's like caught in 4K in 10 different ways. You know, like it's like the fact that, you know, look, I don't know. I mean, jury duty is not glamorous. If I can't imagine people trying to extend it. So the fact that, you know, I'm guessing they have a holdout or two who don't want to go against the brand, we'll say, and convict him. But holy crap. Like, if you want me to start caring about, you know, BLM and stuff like that, start calling out the people that are legitimately shitty, and then we can stand together instead of like putting out statements that are like, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, there's text messages between him and Don Lemon, you know, talking about how the police didn't believe it. And there's, you know, videotapes of your dry run the day before. But yeah, he definitely did. Like, come on, we can agree on some things.
Yeah, well, Dave Chappelle, pretty much. I thought that would have been the stake in the story right there.
Right.
You know, he came up with the whole juicy sommelier thing that we're quoting right now. And it's like, it's shocking to hear that. Now, speaking of Rittenhouse, and Ziggy Shrug is saying, were you? Yes, I think you were on Ricada a couple times.
I dropped in like here and there. Yeah.
I think I was actually on with you for a minute, like a crossover period. What do you think of the Rittenhouse media tour right now?
Don't like it.
Okay, so I'm not alone in that.
Don't like it. Stay at home. Fashion your gargantuan lawsuits. Get paid. Not a huge fan of it. However, totally understand it. This is a kid that got shit on by everybody for a year. So I totally understand him wanting to take a victory lap and him wanting to get out there and grind his axe a little bit. But it should end now, right? You did the conservative media circuit. Go, you know, enough. You know, it's yeah. I don't think it's doing him any favors, but I 100% understand why he'd want to do it. So I'd want to. You know what I mean?
There's some parts of it though that are like, why are you talking about the forward assist with Gage Groceries?
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Creeping me out. You know, there's a certain aggression that's coming out, and I know that he's pissed, whatever it is, but I'm concerned about it, and I'm also concerned about Hancock, who's always kind of looming. Everybody goes, it's like an emotional support dog, and Dave Hancock.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. You know, I think he's got, you know, he's out of the woods, but he's still got this legal fight for the $2 million with Lynn Wood. He's got, you know, and like, honestly, if I were him, man, I'd be like, no, we're going to be like fashioning up these defamation lawsuits that he'll win none of them. But he'll settle a bunch of them and he'll be set up. Like, go back, be a kid again. You know, you got robbed. You sat in jail for 80 days because of Lynn Wood. I understand why you're mad at him. But, yeah, just it's getting close to gloating. That's what you don't want.
Right. And you're in marketing. My other concern would be, could he be affecting those defamation lawsuits? Like, if the more he's out there talking and saying things, it's like, well, how did we defame you? You just admitted,
I didn't like when he also used the term "get off." Like, he was talking about, like, in one of the clips on Crowder, he's like, well, that's how, like, he referred to his not guilty verdict as getting off. And I'm like, that implies you were guilty. Like, don't, you know, like, you're 18 years old, you know, you were sat on that chair in court, tight butthole for 2 weeks, couldn't say anything. Now you're ripping it. You're a little loose. You're going to say something that you're going to regret. Yeah. I didn't like him saying I played Call of Duty every night. Didn't like that. You know, but I think it's easy to expect. He displayed, quite honestly, legendary status professionalism for an 17-year-old.
Yeah, I
going
did.
through all this
This
stuff.
is like another kid. That's what's so
Yeah,
weird.
right. And
And
this
when
is
he
totally
testified,
different.
he
Yeah.
was so toned down, so with it and everything. And now it's sort of like, what's up, bro? And
Yeah.
it's odd.
I just wanted to be careful. I want him to get paid. I think there are several good targets for defamation, including Joe Biden, which I think would be awesome. He'll never win it, but
No, just for the discovery.
right.
Some of that is just for the discovery is worth a fortune. It's like, oh, you could pull every email reference and then you can dunk on that. You could sell it. You could sell that story. You could,
and the guy literally conflated him with a white supremacist. So it's not like that big of a stretch. Like, and I think he referred to a militia or something like this. Like, so there were some legitimate things to kind of be a thorn in his side over. But yeah, Kyle, I'm happy for him. Just, the media tour is done. You took your victory lap. Don't take two, because that's when people get tripped up.
Okay, I've got another case for you. And this one's interesting because Kyle, I thought, was for the whole LawTube community, because I do the legal panels with all of them and stuff. Everybody agreed on Rittenhouse. Self-defense, However, the Chad Reed, Kyle Carruth case, have you looked at that at all? Do you have any thoughts? Because that has people split.
That has a lot of layers to it, because it depends at what point you want to start considering information. Because if you're just watching that clip, I think it's very difficult to make a self-defense case when you were inside safe and you came back outside with a gun. However, from what I understand about Texas law, it's a little more lenient. In my state, if you're in safety and you come back out, you become an aggressor. Like, you can't say, I was scared for my life, I went inside, came back outside with a gun. Like, I don't know. There's also all this stuff about he was dating a judge and they had threatened to expose that. To me, what I know about the case is I am not convinced it was self-defense. I'll put it that way. I won't go as far as to say like it's murder, but it doesn't look like self-defense to me at all. It looks like an idiot fucking around and finding out, but it doesn't look like, I don't know. What do you think?
I have mixed feelings because there's other people involved. Like, one, his girlfriend was outside, or his wife. I don't even know the relationship, but
yeah.
Chad. So technically, Chad was going after her. There's a lot of different angles. Like,
he wasn't charged, right?
No, he has not been charged, and I
don't think he will be.
Well, it depends. I think it's the Attorney General. I think it's on the Attorney General desk. So,
okay,
different. When you start talking about Austin isn't West Texas. So
Austin is very progressive, very
right now. But it is. They're still elected by the rest of the state, so it's kind of a little more. I don't know.
If the skin colors were different, it would already be charged. But I think the fact that it's two white guys means it's probably not going to be as politicized. The world's kind of forgotten about that because we have Maxwell and we have Juicy going on right now. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'd have to know more about it. When I first saw the video, I was like, bro just wanted a reason. Like, when you back up and you have plenty of distance between you and then you put two in his chest, it was all very weird that the girlfriend whoever was filming was like completely unfazed. Like, you just shot the dude and she's like, I got that on videotape. I got it's like, bro, he just killed you, your
well, the whole
encounter.
The whole
thing is weird.
Well, and it also, I find it super disturbing in the sense that the carbine, it didn't even sound like a full-blown gun. I have fired guns, but it's like a pop. Yeah,
it suppressor on it, so that's how it should sound.
Okay, but when you're watching it, though, it is so underwhelming. Watching a life taken away, or no, I'm saying my watch. It's like, wow, somebody's life just got taken there, and it seemed so pedestrian, so just casual. That's weird
what happens
sense.
when we live in the internet age and we see this stuff happen. If you're on Twitter, you see stuff like this happen all the time. I remember seeing Like, I'll never forget the first beheading video I ever saw. But like, now I've seen people killed hundreds of times on Twitter. So yeah, I think it's because of that. It's like weird that I was like, oh yeah, he's dead. Like I was like laughing about it. I was like, "Poh, dead." And I was more concerned about like the crazy lady who was still yelling at him. I think the underlying issue here is custody courts suck ass, and this is one of those. There are so many where custody becomes a hotbed. From what I understand, like the dude was there to pick up his son, and was like what a mess. Like that custody family courts are a disaster in most states.
All true. And speaking of cases, and I guess I just follow them, but what do you think about the Michigan parents being charged?
Hate it. Hate it. I think especially with manslaughter. Okay, you want to give them like reckless endangerment or some other lesser charge, but you can't charge them with manslaughter. Like that is a huge political. I also saw that the students that survived it are suing for $100 million. I'm like, who are you suing for that money? And like, I don't like it. I don't hate it. I apparently his parents are dirtballs. Doesn't seem to justify it to me. What's the case that they have for it? Is there a case law that supports charging them?
Um,
What if you lend your kid their car and they get drunk and they kill somebody in an accident
I
and
will
they
say
stole
that
the beer from you?
right. I will say it went a little bit further. I think it's kind of like the bartender that overserves. They're going on that angle.
Oh,
And
so they didn't secure the weapon enough.
well, they bought him the weapon. They knew that he was doing the ammo. They ignored it. They said, "Be careful that you didn't get caught." There's a whole litany of things. However, I guess my biggest issue is this: if they are charged, so must the school administrators,
Right? Because they knew.
because that is my issue, is that they are yelling and saying that the parents never checked the bag. Well, neither did the school administrators. They're the trained professionals. They're the counselor pulled him out of the classroom. The counselor is trained as some version of psychology to know you've got a troubled kid here. You're demanding the kid get help within 48 hours. Had to seek counseling.
Yeah.
If he's that immediate of a danger, so now you know the danger,
right?
Then why did you send him back to a class?
Yeah, I think the whole thing to me is this extremely slippery slope. If they got a charge for like reckless something, because like, look, it's not a good look for 2A guys like me that somebody didn't secure their weapon.
Oh, sure.
And I support there being some penalty for that. But what I don't support is charging them with manslaughter. Because to me, what if he had gone in the fridge, drank a bunch of their beers, and stole their car and killed somebody? Is that their fault too? Because they're just as responsible in both cases because they didn't secure their liquor and they left their keys out for their car.
I think a better analogy would be, though, if the parents threw a party for their kids and their friends, and the kids got drunk, went out and hit somebody, then I would say the parents are probably responsible.
I would agree with you on that.
Because the parents did buy him the gun, which is illegal. He's 15 years old. And
well, that happens all the time. But yeah.
Well, I know that. I mean, I grew up with guns too, but I'm just saying though, they did buy it. So it's not even a matter of not securing it. They bought it for him. They let him have it. He's out there doing whatever. He's looking for ammunition in the classroom. When the school says, "Hey, your kid's looking up ammunition in class," the mother never answers, but then texts her kid saying, "Oh, I'm not mad at you.
Caught. Yeah.
Don't get caught."
That was stupid. Shitty parents. I mean, they were garbage parents, from what I understand. The whole thing is obviously tragic. It's another, and again, like mental health is a real issue in this country, and it keeps getting scapegoated because after the fact they did something crazy. Like if you would have treated this kid like, the risk that he was, you might have made some people mad, but there would be whatever the 5 or 6 students would still be alive. And there's just, it's so complicated being in the United States and talking to people who don't live here about, Because people are like, well, we don't have school shootings where we live.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, you don't, but you also don't possess 2/3 of the world's guns. Like,
right.
we can't just make them disappear. It's just not. So let's talk about something else. And the best thing we can do is to be better at detecting this kind of stuff.
Oh, I
We
agree.
clearly did detect it, and we didn't follow through on it. Why? Because maybe somebody was worried about getting in trouble, or
See, that's my issue. Is the kid drew a map to himself, literally. If you take the picture of the gun and everything that was on it, he literally saying, "I'm here. I'm going to do this." Well, let's
yeah,
just believe the kid.
yeah, that's a big. They dropped the ball everywhere there. I don't like the charges. I'm not against inherently charging them with something. Manslaughter seems ridiculous, politically motivated. Did we do that in every other school event? I don't think so. I don't think in any other ones that parents were charged. Um, I think, it's just bad. But like they're just making it worse by politicizing it. Some DA wants to get famous because they put the parents in jail. Make no mistake, too, like these parents just lost their son too. Like that
Hmm.
kid's going to be in jail forever, and now you're like putting them in jail too. Uh, I don't know. I don't like it. I'm open to be convinced otherwise because maybe based on local laws there, but it just doesn't. It seems like making a bad situation worse. Um, but I'll tell
I
you
think
what,
it's
I
punitive too
but
because the father told him to shut his mouth when he was
oh, is
taken into
that true?
custody. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
which
good.
is
Oh,
actually
so
good
then
advice.
that's good. Yeah, right.
Well, so, but I could just see them being like, "Oh yeah, well, we're gonna," So I'm
You're
wondering if
making this
this might
hard
be a
on
little
us.
bit
We're
of
gonna make it
pressure.
hard on you.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true. I think that they didn't the kid in Texas, didn't he get bailed out for like a few grand and was partying
Yeah,
with
I
his
did.
family later that day?
Yep. Go figure.
Like, yeah, I mean, that comes to mind. That was now what's interesting is like, and it was the same set of circumstances. That kid was allegedly bullied. He went home, got a gun,
Hmm.
settled the score. This kid you could just look at him and tell he got bullied.
Oh
And
yeah.
he just looked brutal. And then yeah, so and they're so I don't like it from a precedent standpoint. But as somebody who owned firearms when he was 14,
Sure.
they were in my dad's gun case and they were locked up.
Right.
Like
And you had to get permission, and you
yeah,
didn't. And
I
this,
knew where
right.
the key was, but I mean they were locked. I mean, he didn't
Hmm.
tell me where it was, but kids snoop. But like so like the ammo wasn't out, the things were locked up. It was glass. I could have broken it and taken the gun. But like at
Hmm.
least there was like this
There was an
air of like
expectation. There was an
right, like
expectation and a parameter that if you did that, you were forbidden. You were
that was
breaking
it.
your
Yeah.
trust of your parents to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was never in a position where I could go down to the gun case, get my gun, and go target practice. That was never the case. Like I had to ask permission, and um, so yeah, I don't like it. I feel like they're just making a bad situation worse. I'm not against charging them with like reckless endangerment or something like that because gun owners need to be reminded that you're responsible for those bullets that come out of the end of that gun, and you can't just be leaving that stuff laying around.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So to wrap things up, that's kind of depressing. Give us a good news story that we can leave on.
Well, I think uh there is relatively good news in that we can expect a Jussie Smollett conviction. I'm gonna say
Oh, verdict is
tomorrow.
in.
Is he serious?
Somebody just wrote verdict is in. Okay,
Yeah,
come on,
there's
hold
a
on. We got to
joke.
break it.
Yeah, hold on.
Hold on. Dang it, dang it,
It
dang it.
would be
Come.
the very end of the day right now because it's
Well, it's
4:30 here.
4:30 there, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, maybe they're ready. They want to go home.
they
Come
did
on.
meet it. Jury reaches verdict. All right, well, let's wrap it up here.
Video coming out soon. Hey, I'd
Yeah.
love to have you back on a panel or any time if you're ever available.
Okay, yeah, perfect. I will, bud. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you. It was a great conversation.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again real soon.